So I have two plants in this planter, and I'm going to concentrate on this guy right here, which is this little neon green guy called Rhipsalis cereuscula. And cereuscula, cere actually means a little bit more waxy, and I think that probably refers a little bit to the surface. Now this is a jungle cactus, a type of epiphytic cactus, and typically I wouldn't be growing it with this kind of succulent because they are with slightly different conditions, but I'm kind of trying out something new, and I had this planter and I had both of these guys around the same time, so I kind of planted them together, and they actually seem to be pretty harmonious. So I think kind of the care for both is actually a little bit more similar. Now, because this is a Crassula and because this is a Rhipsalis, I actually have this pulled a little bit further away from my southwest facing window. So even though this is a jungle cactus, it is more accustomed to kind of like diffuse light or a little bit more like partial shade or dappled light. So I'm not going to be putting this in directly in my window because it would dry out pretty remarkably. Also Crassulas, even though this one I think would actually do well in a southwest facing window, I found that a lot of my Crassulas actually are more beneficial actually pulling it further away. But this particular Rhipsalis, since I am concentrating on this Rhipsalis, is an epiphytic cactus, which means that it's growing on something else, and it's particularly native to South America. And these actually will grow on trees, kind of hanging out, and they don't have an extensive root structure. So you want them in a little bit more of a well-draining mix because they need to be able to dry out because that's what they're accustomed to. However, they do like to hold on to a little bit more of that moisture, so you're going to have to actually pay attention whether it starts to pucker a little bit because they will start to just shrivel, and that's when you actually know that your Rhipsalis needs a little bit more water. Now, otherwise from fertilizing, the fertilizer you would, in general with Rhipsalis, you could get away with doing it on a quarterly basis. However, because I have this Crassula growing here, I'm fertilizing it more on a monthly basis, but I'm using kind of the same fertilizer. So maybe like a 277 or a 347 or a 011, something that would be perfect for a succulent is going to be good. And just because you're giving this a little bit more of a fertilizer than this guy, it's not going to be really bad because you're giving it such a dilute amount of fertilizer. So in many ways, it'll probably be a little happier, especially because the number of these epiphytic species, if they're kind of growing on a substrate in the leaf, they're getting like fallen leaf litter, they're getting some of the nutrients from the rain that is coming down. So they are getting a little bit more of a nutritious meal more often than not. Otherwise, I have had no pest pressures whatsoever on the Rhipsalis or the Crassula, so that is a very good sign. And as the sun starts to get a little bit more intense, I'll see and make sure that the Rhipsalis is not getting too burned, but otherwise I've had no problems whatsoever growing it about 1.5 feet away from my southwest facing window.